Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Brandon Cobb, co founder of HBG Capital. I've got Matthew Weber on the show today. He works with Alpha Funding. He's been with them a long time. They've originated over $1 billion worth of loans. Him and I were chit chatting before this call. They've got an awesome 30-year product. They've got a really unique way to get 100% financing on your real estate investments. And I want to talk more about that because this is very, very unique here. A lot of lenders will promise something and then you get into the paperwork and the nitty-gritty and it turns out that it's not what you thought it was. And this seems like a really cool product that he's got to help. They've helped hundreds of investors get funding for their deals. Matt, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited today. This is really interesting. I'm very familiar with your space. We work with a ton of professional lenders like yourself. I want to get into like this 100% financing, the recession resistant stuff that you guys are working on. You've got like a 30-year fixed rate rental product. Lots of cool stuff to jump into. Before we do, those who don't know you, what's your story?
I am simply a personal trainer who loves helping others. I'm a coach at heart. That's my favorite thing is to help others. I've always been a servant leader in everything I've done. I started off as an athlete. I started to get into exercise and fitness and health and wellness. And then I met my partner 10 years ago. Greatest, some of those accidental bump intos, you don't realize how important they are at the time. And I'm a big spiritual person that I believe things happen for a reason. I bumped into my partner. He introduced me this opportunity, which was Alpha Funding and helping grow the company. 10 years later, I'm an owner at Alpha Funding. It's been the greatest 10 years of my life. I've learned so much. Being on this call, the gratitude that I have is so incredible and immense. And I want to help share what I've learned with others. And I want to continue to carry that type of mindset like I've always done with my coaching and my fitness, but now in real estate. And, we have some really special stuff at Alpha Funding. I'm very excited to share with everyone.
Yeah, we were talking before the call how you really like this space because it's quote unquote recession resistant. A lot of different niches in real estate and the economy in general. Every asset class out there, doesn't matter what it is, has its ups and downs. And this has been a rock for you guys. It's been very consistent, it's been very stable. So let's get into that. I know y'all actually borrow money and have like your friends and family like life savings. I think you even said it was like your buddies or your mom's like life savings is in this company and y'all lend it out on deals. So y'all take this very, very seriously. It's not like you're just borrowing billions from Wall Street. It's like, if we lose it, we got it. Like y'all have got some serious emotional skin in the game because if something goes wrong, I mean, that's personal relationships that are on the line, which puts you guys in a completely different arena when it comes to running your business. When you're using friends and family's money in deals, there's no getting around it. You take that very seriously. What did you mean by recession resistant and kind of explain the business model that you guys are in, the specific lending that y'all do?
Yeah, just to say to piggyback off of what you just said about how the seriousness, the levity of what we do, it is when you see a lot of the lenders like us, people may be watching this podcast and they hear hard money lender, private money lender, and they think all of the groups that are out there. We are similar to them, but what you just said, like we take this very serious and making a loan decision when we first started, that was purely how we lent the money. It was my partner's money, originally his own hard earned money, and then it went to friends and family. And we still maintain those types of that mindset every single day when we make a loan decision. We're not just trying to lend money transactionally, which ultimately we're in the loan business, but we want to make sure that we're doing good business. And that is why we've grown so much over the years, is because we have so much repeat business because when it passes our sniff test or the eye test, when we go through our underwriting and our due diligence, an investor feels comfortable knowing that Alpha is just not going to fund this like any other group just to make some money. We're doing this because we truly believe in it. And we have an incredible team. Our underwriters, my servicing director, Pat, handles all of our draws. He handles all of our all the servicing for the loans. Like we have an amazing small but mighty team here out of the Northeast. But to go back to what you were talking about, how important it is, the recession proof nature of our business, like we work with investors in all stages of the market. Like in an up market, when everyone's jumping in like like fish or like chum in the water with sharks, like everyone is going after opportunities. We're there. Obviously, we're going to benefit when the market's good. But people always think they're like, well, my father even he'll ask me sometimes, he's like, how are things going? And he's not really in tune the way I'm in tune, being in the real estate space. So my dad will be like, how's business? The economy's not good. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like when things aren't good, we have investors that wait. We have investors that have been holding on to money, cashing up and waiting for opportunities so that when values, like with the stock market, right? They don't tell you to buy high, they tell you to buy low and sell high. So when things are a little bit lower, like in some of the markets across the country, you've seen some investors that are waiting
Mhm.
for things to cool off a little bit and then they jump in. That's when we're there for real estate investors. I'm just going to just change this really quickly.
Yeah, no, that's what I like. You guys have different avenues for pretty much any type of market event that happens when it's going really, really well. And when things aren't going really well, you'll have a lot of investors that come in and deploy capital that want to purchase assets at a really good price. And so no matter which way the pendulum swings, you guys pretty much have it covered.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's an amazing business that we're in. And then the fact that we actually get to help investors achieve their goals outside of real estate. Like, I have an investor who I was just with this weekend. Well, side story, and then I'll talk about what I was just literally going to say. His daughter, he's living the dream right now. He was living a 9 to 5 job. Just after 2 years being in the business, we had another one of our investors that we've been lending to for over 8 years. He's a mentor in our space. He's based out of the Northeast, has a mastermind and an intensive group that he works with real estate investors to help them level up. One of our borrowers, which is a student of his, just left his 9 to 5 job. He's now living the dream of being able to be a real estate investor, live on his own terms. When he wants to go out and dictate what his schedule is, or if he wants to go on a vacation, he's able to do that through real estate. And this dream has been realized. And now I was just out at this little, like it was a food truck event. Like sometimes in these towns, they have like food truck events,
Yeah.
nice little parties with music. And his daughter is 13 years old. She's got a cotton candy business called Candy Clouds. And basically, what she does is she basically sells cotton candy. And then the one cool thing about her business is that all those sticks that the cotton candy goes around with the spin is a glow in the dark cotton candy thing. So at night, when these fairs are going on, you have cotton candy that's glowing in the dark. She's a 13-year-old girl, and this is the daughter of our investor, and he has inspired his daughter to be an entrepreneur. And just when you see the little things that we do, which is just lending money for a real estate deal, and you
Mhm.
see the ripple effect of everything that's happened. Me being a part of this company at Alpha Funding, my 10 years at Alpha Funding, my life has drastically changed. It is so impactful and so powerful. And, like I was saying, just that's why I have so much gratitude. It's amazing the business that we're in.
Yeah, that's really incredible. So when you're writing these loans for these, fix and flips, these long-term rental, these new construction projects, there's a lot of different things that can obviously happen when you start underwriting. It- Every single model I've seen is the borrower's gonna have to bring some kind of money down to the table, which can limit their ability to scale, right? Who go figure, right? The lender's always going to see some skin in the game and the borrower's always going to be limited by the amount of capital that they've got. Y'all have a unique product where y'all work with borrowers where you're able to secure 100% financing through a blend. Tell us more about that.
Yes. So MB Alpha, we recently launched MB Alpha about 4 or 5 months ago. We've been working with a group that helps facilitate working capital for it could be just a business owner. It doesn't even have to be a real estate investor, but if you own a pizza shop and you need a pizza oven, sometimes you need working capital. And I'm not talking about a small business loan. I'm not talking about like those merchant cash advance things. I'm talking about just you go to a bank and they want your business. They want to lend you money, credit cards, lines of credit. And as long as you have decent credit, and this is done through the business, so you set up an LLC, and this lending is done through your business. So just I want to make sure that everyone understands this. If you do get this, investors business owners, you can get anywhere between $50,000 all the way up to $150,000. We've seen people get even more than that, but that money is done through your LLC. So when you do use the money, let's just say you had a line of credit of $10,000 and you were at 9,999 with your balance. You would think that your DTI, because of your exposure, that your credit score would go down. But with this, your credit score actually will go up because you're expanding on your personal credit. You have more available lines. You're the one that personally guaranteed that line of credit. So it's an amazing thing. The fact that we're able to help investors obtain additional working capital that works hand in hand with us, because like you said, you normally have to have skin in the game. It
Mhm.
could be 10, 20% of the purchase price. It could be the closing costs. It could be interest payments. It could be, you need money before we're going to reimburse you for your draws. You need that money. Well, what if I told you you don't have to go out and go raise money or have that uncertainty of, if you do raise some money, are they going to be able to perform and come to the closing table? They're going to actually give you the money before you go close on your deal. You could have this always in your full control, and then combine that with what we do. And because this is unsecured, it doesn't require you to have a lien position. It's unsecured. A lot of private lenders, if you do raise private money, they usually want to get secured by a lien position, which just
Yeah.
doesn't really work with what we do. So it's perfect. You take our money, you take their money, and basically you can cover almost most of the time, depending on some really big size projects, you can get your project 100% funded through our program, MB Alpha.
Can you give us an example, like maybe tell us a story of a client that this worked for? Because like, where's the money coming from? Is it's so M3 Alpha? Am I understanding that correctly? That's where
And
you can get
MB. So we have a sister company, MB Capital. So if you go
MB. I'm sorry.
and look up, yeah, if you go on dealswithnomoney.com, we have a lot of information on there for you. Dealswithnomoney.com. We have a video that explains all of this. Let's just take a basic example. You're going to buy a house, you're in Tennessee, you're going to buy for 300,000. And we're going to need you to bring, with $100,000 budget, that's a total project cost of 400,000. Maybe
Yeah,
you're going to need to bring about 20% of project costs.
guys,
At 400,
80,000 bucks.
yeah, $80,000. We now, Brandon, you have great credit. I'm able to secure you $125,000 with, it could be all a bank line of credit, kind of like a checkbook line of credit that you'd get through a bank. It's a little bit more expensive when you borrow that money, but it's almost on par with what a private lender would charge you to borrow that money, but you have full control. And then you also could possibly get maybe $50,000 with a business credit card. And that's at
Mhm.
0% generally from 12, 18, 24 months. These banks are handing you money. And you take that money, which is that, 125,000, that 50,000, you have 80,000 you need to bring to our deal plus closing costs. Let's call it 100,000. You're covered. You can take that money, put it in your business account, come to our closing. People sometimes will ask us, well, what about seasoning? Because if you have that 100,000 for the down payment and the closing costs, don't they ask for seasoning? Well, the thing is, in fix and flip, just like if I were going to raise money privately, these deals come together quickly. So within 2 weeks, I need to close. I need to get that money raised within a couple of days sometimes. So most hard money lenders are not really going to be held up on seasoning. So if these funds are put in your business bank account and you come to closing, now you have a deal that's been funded by us, and you brought your $100,000 to the closing table, and you're now in the loan with theoretically none of your own dollars. And you still, the 125,000 with your line of credit, you can use some of that for your interest payments. You can use some of that for your draw. Before we reimburse you on your draws, you can put some of that out for some of the work that's being completed and then replenish it. And as you pay down that line, a lot of these banks actually want to give you more money as you use the money. And it's amazing. Like there's different credit offers because I have a good credit score, I'll get things in the mail from Citibank. It could be, some of these local banks, and they'll tell you, here's $50,000. Like we raise your line, we'll give you another 12 months introductory 0% rate. Use my money. Here's a check. Just write the amount on there and go put it in your bank account. And they're willing to give you this as long as you're thoughtful and responsible. That's the big disclaimer. Is I think sometimes this is one of those like too good to be true scenarios. You have to be very thoughtful and responsible when using this. But if you use that effectively with our money, and you can then start to flip some properties or even perform the burn method, it can be extremely effective.
Well, what's the criteria to get this line of credit and like the $50,000 business credit cards? I mean, credit's obviously one of them. Are they needing like bank statements to be pulled or anything else? Like, what else are they looking at?
It's generally credit driven. So
Yeah.
banks want to give money right now. And this is a good thing and it's also a bad thing. As you know, our country is at an all-time high of debt, our country's debt right now. So there's a lot of people that don't use debt properly. And
Yeah.
it's not a good situation. But there's a lot of banks that want to continue to lend money out because that's how they make a lot of their money. When you're looking at this, it's purely credit driven. If you set up an LLC tomorrow and you were to go and you work with our team at MB Alpha, we're putting out all the information for you. We're communicating with the banks. So whether it's a little local bank where we have a relationship with, so you said you're based in Tennessee, right?
Mhm.
So a little local bank in Tennessee, you probably have a few that you may work with already. We'll communicate with them on your behalf and we'll make those applications. And then as soon as we get those decisions back, which usually are almost all the time approvals, because we're doing a consultation up front with you. So if you use this QR code, there's a little form when you go to dealswithnomoney.com. There's a little form you fill out. It's your name, your phone number, your email. I don't even think you even have to put in your social security number. It's just basic information. We do a soft pull. We're not doing a pull on your credit. It's a soft pull just to generally see where your credit's at so we can qualify you. We sit down, we do an explorative call to see what will most likely make sense. I have a guy who was in his high 700s for credit, but he only had one line over the last 20 years of $25,000 that was available. That's not someone who's going to be able to get like $200,000 with a line of credit because he doesn't really borrow money.
Yeah.
But it depends on the person. You might have somebody who has a 680 credit score, uses a ton of debt and a lot of credit, and they're thoughtful and they're responsible and they pay it down. They may have some high balances here and there, but they might be able to get $150,000. So what happens is we'll go through it with you. And then we have the team that basically takes all of your information and then we reach out to the banks on your behalf. We get you the lines. And then the best thing is funding day. As soon as all those apps start coming in and you get the approvals, you'll start getting those emails and those things in the mail with your cards and the checkbooks. And then
Yeah.
that's when you go to work and you start working with Alpha Funding.
And that's really cool. So it's a way to create a truly 100% financing for some of your deals, especially if you're just starting out, because capital is a really tough piece there.
Yeah, and even if
Uh,
you're even if you're an experienced investor, I have somebody who raises millions of dollars for deals. He does a lot of new construction, so he may have 4 or 5 new construction projects going on at the same time. It's a good way to put it's always good to have a good product mix. Like I come from the fitness world, so having a well-rounded program is always going to give you the best results.
yeah.
Having a well-rounded capital stack, just like with us at Alpha Funding, is going to give you a really good result because it gives you opportunity to be flexible and to make different decisions. Sometimes private money is better. Sometimes it's good to just have a little bit of cash on the side. So this way you can deploy it when needed.
Yeah, makes sense. Y'all have a 30-year fixed rate rental product, which is, I mean, that sounds great because, I've got some rentals that were, I think it was like 8-year, 10-year fixed rate, and then it goes. And so it's tough because if you have to refinance in a high rate environment, well, it doesn't make sense. And sometimes you got to sell your rental or the bank's going to call the note due because it doesn't cover the debt service coverage ratio. How are y'all able to do a 30-year product and like what rates are you seeing now since rates have come down?
Just in the last couple of weeks. Now we're talking, this is at the end of September when this has been recorded. We just recently had the Fed rate lower the benchmark Fed rate by 25 basis points. It's not directly tied to what the DSCR loans are. A lot of that is private equity. It's kind of tied to sometimes treasuries. So there's different things, but our rates right now are in the sixes, 6%. We've been dealing with loans originating DSCR loans in the sevens, in the eights, potentially the nines over the last couple of years. And the fact that we're now in the sixes, and we also now are hearing that at the end of 2024, at the end of this year after the election, and then going into 2025, you're going to see rates in the fives for
Yeah.
DSCR, which is amazing. I mean, you talk about 200 or 300 basis point difference with your interest payment for principal,
Huge.
with your principal and interest, it's going to make a huge impact. So our loans are based off of the performance of the asset. So if it's
Mhm.
a two-family rental property and you have rents that are coming in from both units and they're going to more than cover what your pity payment is, we'll fund that deal. We don't even need to look at your income. You do have to have good credit because ultimately it is a loan. You are taking out a mortgage, but it's not a traditional loan like you would if you were going to a bank. This is a private money loan and it's based off of the performance of the property. And you just simply have to show us that you have a couple months of interest payments. So say your interest payments is going to be $3,000 a month on a smaller size property. You have to show us about $10,000 in reserve. So you show us that bank statement with $10,000 for 3 months, and then you have good credit. We do an appraisal on the property, we verify the rents, and we close these in 3 to 4 weeks. So this is less than a month. We're able to close these. And a lot of investors are now taking their fix and flips and they're turning them into fix and holds because it's the gift that keeps on giving. And almost any investor knows this. Holding on to real estate, it's just going to continue to appreciate over time. And a lot of people are taking advantage of it right now.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That's really cool that you get a 30-year fixed rate product, especially if you can lock it in like the 5%, next year if it comes down. I mean,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a game changer because it's just gonna cash flow forever and you don't have to worry about refinancing it in, 5, 10, 8 years or something like that. I'm curious, the lending space is very difficult to differentiate in. You guys seem to have done a good job with your MB funding company, trying to give people 100% financing on a couple deals. Um, how else have you guys been able to differentiate in this space? Because it's very difficult. A lot of lenders are like, "Hey, we're at 70% LTV. You need 10, 15% down." It's a very similar product. It's very difficult to differentiate. How are you guys doing that?
Well, a lot of what we do, it's relationships.
Hmm.
So I'm not focusing on pricing. Obviously, you need to be competitive when it comes to lending the money, but
Yeah.
the people that we spend time with, we truly pour into our investors. I mean, to go back to just like the lending decisions that we made when we first started at Alpha Funding, having people know that that's our genuine authenticity. Like when we're talking to them, we mean what we say what we mean. We've carried that to now, even now when we work with investors, like I love going and visiting investors at their job sites and spending time with them, getting to know them. Like I was just telling you about that story about that mentor that I've worked with for the last 8 years. And then one of his students then being able to leave his 9 to 5. And now he's inspired his daughter, who has now a cotton candy business. And we go out for dinners and we spend time together. They're genuinely friends. Like we do business with people that we genuinely care about. And I think people see that and it resonates. And then people then reciprocate. Most of our business is repeat business. So every
Hmm.
month we do meet some new investors. Like for you, it would be incredible to get to know you and build a relationship with you. But because we've done things the right way over the last 15 to 20 years, you see the compound effect. And I think the compound effect is just so powerful when you see it in action. And that's what we've done with Alpha Funding, which is just continue to do the right things, slow and steady. We don't want to be this national large lender, although we do lend 44 out of the 50 states. But most of our business is in our backyard. We're in the Northeast. We work in New Jersey. We do a lot of loans in Philadelphia. We do a lot of loans in Connecticut, New York, some of the Eastern Coast down to Florida. And those are people that know us, like us, they trust us, and we've done things the right way for a long time. And that's what differentiates ourselves. But to the people that don't know us, things like MB Alpha, I don't know many people that have been able to see a way to get a deal truly funded without a catch. like MB Alpha. And then another thing, we have a show called The Deal where, we try and put out a lot of really good educational content online. We have a YouTube channel. So
Mhm,
Alpha Funding, if you go on YouTube, Alpha Funding,
mhm,
you'll see we have this show that we basically just started, which is The Deal, where we show the process of working with an investor from the beginning through the middle of the construction phase all the way to the end. And
mhm.
then you can see what it's like to work with us every step of the way. And you can sit there at your computer, find out what it's like. I mean, you just look at the reviews on our page, just doing things the right way. That's definitely been one of our big differentiators.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, there's proof in the pudding, right? Social proof, the number of people you've done transactions with is huge. With all the success that you guys have had, what's next for you?
What's next? I
Yeah.
mean, I would love to continue to build out some of the media stuff that we do through Alpha Funding. Like I have a TV. You wouldn't know this. When I was in high school, I used to take television production
Uh-huh.
through or we have a TV department in our school in Livingston, New Jersey. It's a
Mhm.
very, very successful TV program. Like we have one of the guys on Good Morning America. He actually is one of those guys who does some of the production behind the scenes for Good Morning America. So I
Mhm.
actually every morning would help run the television show for our school. So I was like on the board. I would be doing the tech. It was called the tech board, or I was the director, or I was the floor director. I was on camera. So I've
Yeah.
always loved that stuff, and I would probably like to do more of that. And you could see that we're doing a lot of that at Alpha Funding, which is, I think, having other people see what you do. It's probably the best marketing you can have. And then, just continue to do loans. I would love to, my girlfriend and I want to buy some homes, do some more new construction, would love to buy our first home soon. So there's a lot ahead. Would definitely, my big why is like my family and the people around me, being able to help others have a better life, just generally, they feel good, they're more inspired. That would be my big why. And if I can help others over these next couple of years, obviously that'll be very rewarding.
Very cool, man. If people want to learn more about Alpha Funding, learn more about the MB funding, that unsecured line of credit, learn more about you, where can they go?
So for MB Alpha, if you're looking to get your deals funded, 100% financing, it's not a catch. www.dealswithnomoney.com. And then you can also visit us at alphafunding.com. So Alpha Funding for all your hard money lending needs, and then MB Alpha dealswithnomoney.com. And then check out our YouTube page, Alpha Funding. We've got a lot of really good content on there.
Dude, Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for dropping the gold nuggets today.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me on.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this, show Matt some love, show me some love, subscribe to the channel, like this, share it with friends and family. We will see you guys next time.